All right, welcome back, everyone. Recording again. And I'm just going to review from the very beginning, just kind of a brief overview of the whole thing. And please jump in with any questions or comments, okay? Or if you want to pause at any time, just ask for a pause. But basically, the story, the Chrysalis story, as I'm envisioning it, comes in three phases: caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly. Okay. And the caterpillar part of the story, humanity overshot. We have far overshot. And I think our overshoot started 12,000 years ago with the agricultural revolution, when we started decimating forests and ecosystems to plant, first crops and then animal agriculture, which is the most destructive of all. And here we are 12,000 years later on the brink of extinction. So that's the caterpillar part of the story. Right now, we're in the chrysalis, a time of transition, radical change. The caterpillar is falling apart, breaking down, right? The old stories are falling apart, breaking down. The old game of hoarding is breaking down. We're recognizing that it is killing us all. It's killing all of life on Earth. We're in the middle of the sixth mass extinction, referencing the book written by Elizabeth Kolbert, The Sixth Extinction, and referencing the good work of Professor Guy McPherson, analyzing all this and analyzing that we are overheating exponentially and on the brink of human extinction. So, in the midst of the caterpillar breaking down, the butterfly is starting to emerge, but it's emerging very slowly, first with imaginal cells like all of us waking up and saying, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then reaching out to each other, connecting with each other in Zoom meetings like this one. And I believe that out of all this destruction of the planet, of life on Earth, of the caterpillar, the old game, out of all this destruction, we can rebuild. We can design and build the butterfly, a new world out of all this destruction and chaos. And I believe that what it's going to take is imaginal cells like us, individuals, coming together and forming clusters of imaginal cells, like right here. The six of us in this meeting right here, right now, we're a cluster of imaginal cells. We've come together to talk, to listen, to share, and to envision a new way forward. And my vision is just like the human brain is made up of clusters of neurons in different parts of the brain. Clusters like this meeting and other meetings and other meetings and other meetings can all network together to form essentially a gigantic planetary brain, what I call the collective superintelligence. Smart enough to, number one, make sense of what's going on in the world right now. Number two, simulate, create a simulator, like a computer model to simulate. This is what's been happening, and we can either go in this direction, this direction, this direction, this direction, or this direction. Create a simulation of all that. This is essential. Have a simulator, kind of like SimCity, which goes back decades. That's that cool computer program, SimCity. We need to be able to simulate the planet and explore different pathways forward. And then collectively, we need to pick one. we need to pick a color. Do we want to continue on the path towards extinction? I don't, but I think the question needs to be asked because that's the path we're on right now. Or do we want to pick a new path? Do we want to forge a new path? And if so, which path? And now this is where the collective superintelligence can really kick into high gear. The new path that we can take is a path we can design. So as we bring together all these different clusters, intelligent clusters like this one, but many, many, many tens of thousands of Zoom meetings, all networked together into a collective superintelligence, then just like a big, car company like Toyota or Tesla, different parts of the company can work on different things. Some working on wheels, some working on engines, some working on transmission, some working on headlights, whatever. And together we can collectively build not another car, but the butterfly. Build a new world. Design and build a new world. Not overnight, but over time. But we first need to have a plan for it, right? And before we have a plan for it, we need to have a vision. And before we can have a vision for it, we first need to talk about it, which is what we're doing right here. James, I see you unmuted. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I'm just saying that as you're on about it, there, we need to have a vision. So I was kind of thinking about it since the meeting the other day. Anyway, I'm working on a kind of an idea for a logo, or and also an image for the Catalyst calendar, or the
Chrysalis
calendar itself, like the Chrysalis
calendar. Yeah.
So I'll share just the image, the vision I have now for, but this would be the image for an image for the Chrysalis calendar site. We say no, I'm it's kind of detailed. So what I'm talking about is I break that down into different little logo then that we were on about attaching to people that come along and join the calendar and say that they're Chrysalis certified, that kind of an idea. So I'm working on a couple of different offbeats of it, but this is based on what Vincent was saying about the image should have more than words. It should tell a story, So I'll share the image there anyway. I'll just go into my photos, I suppose.
Yeah, go ahead. I made you co-host if that helps.
Yeah, I'm just sharing it down now. Let's sit down now.
Oh, look at that.
Is that up?
Yeah, we see it. And I see there's words. Oh, yes. I see yeah, you're zooming in. Very good.
Yeah, I've been doing is the black spot now doesn't necessarily have to be black spot. I just went on what Vincent was saying was about an individual network could put their own tag inside that black spot. So I just threw those in there. But the Chrysalis is made up of all the different cells as you're on about, and the idea of I kind of purposely made the top of the skull, because what I did is I purposely made the butterfly within kind of have the shape of a Neanderthal / Homo sapien head, or even, as I was saying there to Natalie a while ago, kind of alien, if you want to think of it that way, because if we actually do manage to survive and thrive, then we could branch out into the stars and we could become the aliens, that's what I'm thinking. But you know what I'm saying? If we don't, we're the Chrysalis within the Earth to save the Earth, the different networks, and the Earth is on fire around us. So that's the story behind it.
I love it, James. Yeah, go ahead.
That's just an image. No, I'm just saying that's just an idea of an image that came into my head. No, I'm not saying use that or anything, but I'm working on that kind of idea then to break it down to simplify it for logos.
I love it, James. I think you're off to a beautiful start there. Love it, love it, love it. And feel free to keep sharing it if you want as we talk about it. Yeah, in fact, please do share it some more. Oh yeah, yeah. It is Catalyst. It's Catalyst.network. Florent has the right idea. Thank you, Florent. Yeah, it's Catalyst.network. Is the current website for Trove. But yeah, please do screen share that again, James, whenever you're ready. So Florent, what we're doing here is, first I'll tie it back in with the big picture. So the big picture is that all these different conversations that we're having around the world, all these different Zoom meetings and other conversations, can all be put up on the calendar, the Chrysalis calendar within Trove, right? And anyone who's working on any part of this can upload their events or their meetings to the calendar so that other people can find out about them and join them, right? And in that way, we co-create a whole network of conversations. And the network of conversations becomes literally, that becomes the collective superintelligence, right? So throughout the Chrysalis, there's all these conversations happening, but at the present moment, they're all mostly disconnected, right? And yes, Florent, I like your idea. You could ask your political party in Europe so they can communicate with each other. That's brilliant. Love it. And please invite them to join our meetings here. So that together we can build this network of conversations. And I would love for them to post their meetings that are, fundamentally about the Chrysalis and about this network of conversations and about the story of, first caterpillar, then chrysalis, then butterfly that's emerging from all this. To get all that up on the Chrysalis calendar, or if they have their own calendar, to connect that calendar on Trove so that we get multiple calendars of all the different communities all up on Trove so they can connect with each other. So whether it's one universal calendar or multiple different Chrysalis calendars, that's the idea, that we form this either a network of calendars or one big universal calendar. It doesn't matter to me. But we ultimately need to have all of us connected and networked. Oh, and Florent knows many groups that are already in the Trove network. Perfect. So, that's so positive that you know so many in the Trove network, because now our job is to get us all connected. We still need to put our meetings up on the Trove network. And so part of what we're doing today in this meeting right here is figuring out what meetings do we schedule on what topics. See, right now we're having a big conversation about the big overall big picture, caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly, right? Within that, we need to have meetings just on the caterpillar and how things are breaking down, what all the problems are, etc. Then meetings just on the chrysalis, meetings about all these different calendars and how to connect them, right? And the collective super intelligence that's emerging within the chrysalis. And then other meetings on the butterfly. You see, we're building this collective super intelligence within the chrysalis for a purpose, the purpose is so that we can design and build the butterfly. out of all the broken, dissolving parts within the chrysalis. As the caterpillar breaks down and breaks down and breaks down and continues to destroy the planet, out of the ashes and destruction, a butterfly needs to emerge. But that butterfly first needs to be designed and built. And that's why we're building the collective superintelligence as a network of conversations within the chrysalis. Anyway, I'm going to pass the talking feather. Love to hear from you all. Any thoughts before I screen share?
I suppose.
Yeah, go ahead.
I suppose we'll have to. I suppose for first anyway, we'll have to list in detail, make the list a bit more precise about what are the caterpillar stories like. What are the, you know, we need to bulk that list out because there's a lot more conversations going on about it that we need to, you know, define the conversations. And so, I mean, that is the big problem, is the caterpillar problem. So we need to figure out what are, list all those problems that the caterpillar society is causing, and conversations that will relate to those, definitely. So the first thing to work on is a list, I think. Then,
a list of what exactly, James?
in the where you were breaking down the story, and you were saying there's the three part stages of the story, and the first one is the caterpillar story, and you had a number of you had a list of some of the, you know, problems that are going on under the caterpillar story. We need to broaden that list, is what I'm saying. More, make it more. You know, it's not, it's vague. The list is vague at the moment. If you get what I'm saying, you have one word covering a lot of stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? We should broaden.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Let me go ahead and screen share just to make it a bit more clear, and then please guide me as we look at this, James. So
broaden the list. So
yeah.
you have the story there, and you have in book one you have seen the caterpillar, and you have the game, the roots, the destruction of biosphere and overheating, and you're saying these all relate to conversations that are going on. You know what I mean, out there about these different subjects, like, and we need to get those conversations together. So I'm saying the game covers a lot, like, so we should break it down. What does the game consist of? You know what I mean? So that people having those conversations will say, oh, there's conversations going on about that there. Or am I getting it wrong here? No, like, or am I overthinking it? Or
Yeah, no, really good questions. I definitely don't think you're overthinking it. What I was thinking is we could have a meeting once a week on the game. And when I say the game, I mean what I call the all-day Monopoly game of hoarding, right? Each human being on the planet trying to hoard and accumulate as much as they can in order first to survive and then to aggrandize, right? Fulfill their ego fantasies, which is what we're all taught to do. Go out there and become rich. Own as much as you can, right? No matter what the impacts on other people or the planet. That's the game. We need to understand the game to understand our addiction to the game as individuals and as a species, so that we can ultimately overcome the game, right? See, what we're doing here is we're playing a new game and we're pioneering a new game. So anyway, that's what I mean by the game. And in terms of what our community needs to put up on the calendar, Yes, there's a whole bunch of topics out there about the details of the destruction of the planet, the details of the problems that this game has caused. Um, but I'm personally not interested in spending too much time on that here in this community, because I think that our main work really centers around the chrysalis, not so much book one, the caterpillar, but book two, the chrysalis. Here, I'll screen share to show that. As you can see, I've kind of organized this into different books, if you will. Book one, the caterpillar. Book two, the chrysalis. This is where I'm most interested in focusing on. How do we bring the imaginal cells together, right? And phase one is chrysalis calendars, bringing these different calendars together, these different communities together. But the way to bring them together is to bring their calendars together, to say, hey, share your calendar with us. Where's your calendar, right? And that's exactly where we're focused right now, is on building out our calendar, the chrysalis calendar. And eventually we'll have our own website, chrysaliscalendar.org, but it will live on Trove. It will be one of many calendars on Trove. That's my vision, so that all of Trove will equal one big, what I'm calling the universal calendar. Anyway, so bottom line, James, this is a long answer to your question. I'm proposing that we focus on, number one, the overall story, have a meeting on that. Yes, have a meeting on the game so we can understand the current all-day Monopoly game. Then have a separate meeting on the Chrysalis story, book two, the Chrysalis. Focus on that. That would include the Apollo 13 analogy, the Klingons, the Imaginals, right? The collective superintelligence. This could be its own meeting, right? We need to have a meeting on collective superintelligence, right? And a meeting on the calendars, and including the universal calendar. So here, just so far, let me just kind of get really specific here. So far, I see one meeting here, meeting number one, story of the chrysalis. That's where we cover all this. Meeting number two is focused on the game, right? And that meeting would reference the destruction of the biosphere, planetary overheating. From time to time, we'd show a Guy McPherson video on that, but that would all be under the game, right? Meeting number three would be on the story of the chrysalis, and that would reference the Apollo 13 metaphor, the Klingons, the imaginal cells, all of us coming together. Meeting number four would be, okay, now that we've talked about the general story of the chrysalis, now let's talk about collective superintelligence, how we're going to come together to become super intelligent, so that with this collective superintelligence, we can undo the current game that's destroying us, undo the planetary overheating, undo the destruction of the biosphere, right? Protect ourselves against the attacks from the Klingons that we've talked about, which are very real, very destructive, right? And then, but have that general meeting about the collective superintelligence, our vision for that, right? Talk about our vision for that. Then meeting number five would be on the chrysalis calendars as the first phase of building the collective superintelligence. Then we could have meeting number six could be on the universal calendar, which is an evolution from a whole bunch of individual chrysalis calendars, that evolution to a universal calendar. That would be meeting number six, right? And then I'd say meeting number 7 could be on universal taxonomy and planetary governance. That's kind of like, okay, as we bring together the collective superintelligence under a universal calendar, then a universal taxonomy and planetary governance can emerge, right? And I think collective superintelligence meeting 4 can also cover our vision of full-blown collective superintelligence. We need to envision it before we can make it happen. So I think all that happens in meeting 4. So I'm going to include this in meeting 4, collective superintelligence. So far we got 7 meetings, and by the way, just to kind of paint the picture here, this big oval represents the chrysalis, the whole chrysalis, just like James indicated, right? This section right here represents us. We are here. We're one tiny little cluster within the bigger chrysalis, right? And our work initially is at the level of our own chrysalis calendar, chrysaliscalendar.org, right? So what I'm thinking is maybe here we have meeting number 8, where we really hunker down and focus on our own calendar. And on that calendar, here's where it all comes full circle. On that calendar, we're going to have meeting number 1, meeting number 2, meeting number 3, meeting number 4, meeting number 5, 6, 7, and 8. And all of these 8 meetings would happen in 1 week, right? So you can think of it this way. Now something happened down here. I'm going to have to, let me create some room here. Okay, I'm just going to, it's not letting me, something weird is going on here. I was messing around with notes last night, but anyway, let me just see if I can draw it here. Okay. The idea is, imagine a spiral that goes like this. This is the beginning point, this dashed line. We start here. We go around the spiral. We do one pass, then another pass, then another pass, and we keep going on and on. And the idea is that of these 8 meetings that I was showing up there, we first have the first one, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, the fifth, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. And then we start again with meeting number 1 on the second pass, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the third pass, again, meeting number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, meeting number 1. So each of these spirals would happen. This would be week 1. And this would be week 2. And this would be week 3. Right? And so on. Every week we cover the same 8 topics. Now, why is that? Why would we cover the same topics over and over again? The answer is perfection. We first need to perfect the story of the chrysalis so that we can communicate it to our sisters and brothers around the world. This is the story. If there's something wrong with it, let's correct it and change it for the next week and the next week and the next week. Let's keep evolving it. Number two, our understanding of the game, right? We need to perfect that. The roots of the game, the destruction of the biosphere, the planetary overheating, all that. And ultimately undoing the game. That's meeting number two. And again, that happens every week. So we can really understand the game. That's our big enemy here, is the game that we're trapped in. It's the Hunger Games, right? Number three, the story of the Chrysalis. This is also story, but we focus in on the Apollo 13 metaphor, the Klingons who are attacking us, attacking the imaginal cells, because the Klingons are clinging on to the old story, the old ways. The ultimate benevolent weapon of the Chrysalis and the imaginal cells is collective superintelligence. We need to talk about it, talk about the vision. That's meeting number 4. And we have that meeting every week so that we can perfect it. Meeting number 5 is, what's the first phase? The first phase is all the imaginal cells in their respective communities forming their own calendars, their own Chrysalis calendars, and getting them up on Trove or whatever platforms. The next phase is we connect these calendars together into a universal calendar with an emergent universal taxonomy or Wixonomy, which we'll talk about when we get into it, and ultimately planetary governance. That's meeting number 6. Actually, I put meeting number 7 to be Wixonomy and planetary governance, so that's fine. We first have universal calendar, that's a big one. And number 7 will be taxonomy and governance, you know, and I'll put and other topics of collective superintelligence that we're building out. And then all of this evolves towards collective superintelligence, the full-blown, right, which we talk about in meeting 4. But again, we can talk about it in meeting 7. So we'll talk about full-blown CSI in both those meetings. But then we bring it back home to where we are right now. Meeting number 8, the final meeting of the week, is our Chrysalis calendar. And that could be the Friday meeting with Vincent, right? Anyway, let me go back on normal Zoom where we see each other. Any feedback, any thoughts, any questions on what I just shared?
Do you have like Discord link or something like where I can find information about this event?
Yes. Here, let me put it up right now. Because I just emailed it out last night. And here, I'll give you the link. And if you could do me a favor and click on it and tell us what you see, because I only see it with my own view of it. But here, I'll put it in the chat. This is the emergent Chrysalis calendar, where you'll, but see, right now we haven't filled it in. We only have a few things on there. But what I'm proposing is to add these 8 meetings to the calendar every week, right? So let me know what you see, Florian, when you click on that. Do you see the calendar?
Yeah. Gaia's Zoom or Heart Gardens, catalyzing, and then Glass Speed game.
Yeah, exactly. So the Glass Beads game starts in 12 minutes, and there may be others on there as well. And so these 8 meetings that I'm showing, I haven't put them on there yet, but I'm going to put them on there, right? And what I might call them is, I might give them names like Chrysalis 1, Chrysalis 2, Chrysalis 3, all the way to Chrysalis 8. So everyone knows that that's part of a series, the Chrysalis series, that every week we go 1 through 8, right? So we're about to add that, but that's why we're having this meeting right now, so we can figure out what meetings to have. And then we'll put those up on the calendar. And then you can join any of those meetings you want. That's the idea.
Okay. Oh.
How does that sound, Florent?
I'm kind of happy. Yeah, I have been trying to my political party is this void, and if you know developmental stages like spiral dynamics, they are like 3.0 social justice activists, but also they are kind of mono perspective, like not able to understand another perspectives. So yeah, I was thinking about how can I make them understand others. Yeah.
Cool, cool. No, and that gets to the heart of it, is understanding each other's perspectives so that collectively we can make sense of
Yeah.
the world. And collectively we can reason together, talk together, and design a new pathway forward. And the way I see it is we need the calendar for that, so that we can see the calendar, all these different meetings. Each meeting is kind of like having a different telescope with a different angle, a different view of the world. That's a perspective. Each meeting takes a different perspective, right? So by putting all these perspectives on the calendar, it's like when you're at some, looking at some rainforest or something, you can go to one telescope and look at one perspective, then you can walk over here a little ways and look through a different one at a different perspective, and then look at a different one over here. It's not a telescope, it's a microscope. And now you're zooming in, right? And so that's the idea of the calendar. The universal calendar is that we get all these perspectives.
Yeah. Emergence of all perspectives.
Let's call it the omni perspective.
So yeah, I want you to, how to help them increase their consciousness. To the next stage. And yeah, inviting them to hear like, hey, here's like climate change solving issues from another organization, and racial issues, something like social justice issues, like better solutions are here. Here, take them. And also, also take some community organization skills like sense making, glassability game, something like that. Yeah, they can take this and they can immerse themselves into this. Then yeah, it's easy. It's easy peasy.
Exactly. See, the whole idea is to help people to see from different perspectives. And that's why we need the calendar. So you can know where to go, when to go, what link to click on to find the meetings you want to go to. And jump in and say, hi, I'm Jamin. I heard about your meeting. Happy to be here. This is the first time I've been here. Happy to meet you all and happy to see through your perspective. That's how we form a collective super intelligence. That's how I see it. So anyway, I'm pretty excited. It feels to me like we've gotten a pretty good set of 8 meetings to put on the calendar for starters, in addition to all the other meetings that are being put on, right? But I would call this Chrysalis 1, Chrysalis 2, Chrysalis 3, Chrysalis 4, Chrysalis 5, 6, 7, 8, so that people see that it's a series, it's a cycle. and you mentioned spiral
not sure.
dynamics, which I'm not an expert in, but I like the idea of spiraling, that covering the same topics, but going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper every week. James, did you want to say something?
No, just I get, you know, my bad there a while ago. I must have picked up something wrong from a while ago, but I wasn't able to hear properly anyway. Like, but either way, anyway, I get what you're saying there now. Like, once you put the spiral in the, because we were on about that a couple of weeks ago, so I know exactly where you're coming from now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, James. In fact, I see another that we can put in there. I'll just call it number 9 for now, and then we'll probably renumber them all to make them flow. But number 9 will be the butterfly, and you know, the design of the butterfly. So chrysalis is a means to an end. The chrysalis exists to produce a butterfly. It doesn't exist to just go on forever like a chrysalis, right? It's just a temporary thing, but crucial. It's basically the factory within which we design and build the butterfly. So that would be meeting number 9. And Eric is joining us. Let me pause recording.